ready, fucker.
Shut up and sit down.
Hello, and welcome to Flesh Lemon.
Flesh Lemon.
Flesh Lemon. I'm Cedar. I am a lover of pre-cooked chickens from Costco. I believe in the power of good socks.
That is true.
Until your mom yells at you because of hers.
Yeah.
Believe in the power of my mom's socks.
Yeah.
And you are?
I'm Kaylee. I really like this knife I'm holding. It's a good knife.
Fair enough. And with us as always is the Void.
The Void.
Hello, friends.
That unbodied voice.
She who
of
shall not be named.
she who shall not be named.
Yeah.
So we're here to play a game called Which Weirdo Wins, and every week we will bring a weird story, factoid, fun anecdote from the internet, and the best...
The weird world of the internet.
The weird world of the internet. We're here to tell our stories.
Yeah. Who gonna go first?
Oh my god. I really want to go, we're here to tell our stories, and then have the Law and Order... Da-da-da-da!
Dun, 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 dun.
I can do that.
Executive producer, Dick Wolf, and Speedweed.
Okay, who wants to go first?
Wait, who went first? I went first last time. You go first. Let's go in, this way.
Alright. This is all off of cracked.com.
Ooh.
Which is an amazing website.
Yeah,
I love
is.
it. It's like a BuzzFeed, but better. So I have brought you 3 tales of cursed movie sets.
Nice.
Yay.
And they get, as we go, they get increasingly more fucked up.
Yay.
So we're gonna start with the Poltergeist trilogy, which is kind of like a famed cursed movie set. But from the top, 4 actors died within 6 years of the first movie being released. Heather O'Rourke died of the flu, which is shady as fuck, but she went into the hospital for the flu and then died on the operating table, so it's like, what part of you do they cut out for the flu?
Just everything.
Just everything. Just before the 3rd movie was released, that's when she died, and then Julian Beck, who played the creepy old man in the movie, died of cancer, and then Will Sampson, a wonderful native actor, bless him. The most horrific of all of the deaths was Dominique Dunne, who played the eldest sister in the first film, was brutally strangled by her boyfriend.
Wow.
The same year as that film came out.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, this curse, conspiracy for the Poltergeist movies is actually really thin.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work out very well, because the idea is that everybody's dead, but really, 4 people died.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that that's probably not a curse, that's probably just having a really shitty stalker boyfriend.
You're just being a really shitty person.
Yep. So after this, the curse gets a little shaky. You see the film is all about, disturbing burial grounds, and then you get a ghost. They actually used real human remains as props in this film,
Really?
which is probably why they got fucking haunted.
Yeah.
So the scene in the first movie where they fall into the pool and they're surrounded by skeletons, those were real human skeletons, because it was cheaper to buy cadaver skeletons than it was to make rubber duplicates.
That would have been terrifying.
Wow.
So can you imagine being like, hey, jump in this pool full of dead people?
I feel like
Full of real skeletons.
diseases.
No, they were medical grade.
Oh,
So they
okay.
would have been disinfected,
Yeah.
bleached.
They were still human
They were still
bones.
human skeletons. You would have been
Jeez.
like this. Used to be a
A
person.
sentient being.
Just me in the pool holding.
You're my best friend.
And then lastly, this lady named JoBeth Williams, who played Diane Freeling in some of the films.
Mhm.
This is the only real weird supernatural part. She says after filming every day of the first film, she'd come home and all of the pictures in her house would be crooked on the wall. Which I'm like, you have really fucking tame ghost.
Yeah, right? See this artwork? I'm gonna just make it crooked. Did you see how it's straight? Now it's not. What you gonna do? That would be me as a ghost. I'd just be like, see this artwork? I'm gonna fuck it up. But then I'd be like, oh, but it's artwork, so just
I would love
I'm
to
just
have
gonna
you
fuck it up
haunt.
just a little bit.
I'd love to have you haunt the Louvre or something, and just be like, I'm gonna crooked this mess. I'm sorry.
You
Just
can't
put it back.
I'm gonna destroy this. No, I can't do it. I'm gonna make it crooked, just a little bit. I can't just be like.
So after, in my notes, after I literally wrote, When she returned home after filming every day, her framed photos on her walls would be crooked, and then in all caps I wrote, Spoopy!
Too spoopy to live, too crooked to die.
So that is Poltergeist, and next we're on to Rosemary's Baby.
I'm pretty sure I know what the third one is.
So in Roseberry's Baby.
Rosemary!
In Rosemary's Baby, the film's musical composer died of a brain clot 1 year after finishing the film, but the big rub is that's the same way a character dies in the film.
So most of these people are dying like natural deaths.
Quote unquote natural.
Yeah.
Natural side-eye. Just natural.
William Castle, a producer, suffered from kidney failure.
Kidney.
Kidney failure soon after the film was made, and he believed it was the movie that cursed him with this illness, even crying out, "Rosemary, for God's sake, drop the knife," while being treated.
That's...
Do you think there's a little bit of mental illness happening in there? Because kidney failure must be painful, but what do they call it? Like when they filter your blood?
Oh, dialysis.
Dialysis can't be, like, painful enough for you to be like, Rosemary! Like, well, honest, I don't know. I've never lost a kidney.
Neither have I.
Mhm.
Have you?
No.
Have you?
Both are there.
Yes.
But mostly the curse was built around the murder of Roman Polanski's wife, because he directed the film. So Sharon Tate was killed at the hands of the Manson family. The Mansons nicknamed this murder Helter Skelter. Here's the big rub on this. After the song written by John Lennon in a hotel called the Dakota, which was the same hotel used to film most of the scenes in Rosemary's Baby.
Oh.
So it's like a super roundabout way of being like, I see you, curse.
But also Roman Polanski is icky.
Yeah, he is a disgusting human
He
being.
is.
Why?
Oh, he had sex with a 13-year-old.
No!
Yeah.
And-
And then fled to Poland
Yeah,
to avoid prosecution. And there's still people in Hollywood who are like, no, he's innocent. It's like, he had fucking sex with a
Yeah.
13-year-old.
I don't care if your
Roman
wife.
Polanski, Woody Allen, need to just drop dead.
I don't care
Keep
if your
that on
wife
the
and
record.
Okay. I don't care if your
Oh,
wife
my.
and baby were brutally murdered. That does not give you a free pass to fuck children.
Yeah.
Straight up, rule number 1 of Flesh
Rule
Lemon:
yeah.
don't fuck the kids.
I feel
don't
like that
see-
shouldn't just be a rule of Flesh Lemon.
I think
that's your rule
of
in
life.
in general.
Yeah.
All right, so last one, the creepiest of all, the movie with the shittiest luck in the world, The Omen.
Oh. I actually watched it. It's a really good movie.
It is a really good
I
movie.
like horror movies from like the 70s. I feel like the campiness is just like...
You need to watch Evil Dead then.
I have.
'Cause it-
I have seen
Oh, okay. Well, so you need to watch Evil Dead.
I've
So you
seen
should have an old movie.
I like
scary
that
movie
idea.
marathon.
Okay, so during the filming, writer David Seltzer's plane got struck by lightning. So was Gregory Peck's plane and producer Mace Neufeld's plane. 3 planes got struck by lightning in the filming of this.
Wow.
The hotel that some of the cast and crew were staying in was bombed by the IRA. So was a restaurant they were all supposed to be filming in. Nobody was hurt.
The IRA is the Irish Republic Army, right? It was like a huge resistance.
Okay.
In Ireland back in the 80s.
Something like
I want
that.
to say there was a lot of discourse happening in Ireland at the time.
So
I think like the maximum, sorry, just random fact, the maximum security prison in Ireland houses some of the most dangerous IRA members.
if you ever want to like IRA documentaries are so fascinating because I mean, number 1, I love the Irish because they're fucking awesome. Number 2 is you get a whole bunch of angry Irishmen in a room and they're all like, ah! And they just blow shit up.
I mean, I feel like that's with any men.
Watch, I think it's the only difference is the accent.
Yeah.
But I think it's about the IRA, but The Devil's Own is a really good movie from the 80s with Brad Pitt and Harrison Ford. So if you ever want to see Brad Pitt with an Irish accent in a good, like, fisherman's sweater.
Yeah.
Devil's Own.
All right, sorry. Continue
Anyway.
on.
On Friday the 13th, August of 1976, John Richardson, an FX consultant, crashed his car in Holland. His assistant, who was in the passenger seat, was sliced in half by the car's front tire.
Oh my god.
One of the car's front tire. And as he was scrambling from the wreckage, he looked up and saw a road sign that read Amen 66.6 kilometers.
You can't tell, but
You can't
have
tell.
shocked faces.
Yeah, their mouths were open for a long time. But can you imagine, like,
That would.
I would have quit this film after 3 planes got fucking, smashed by some fucking lightning.
Smack down.
Whoosh. But can you imagine, like, literally you saw somebody get ripped in half, and then you're, like, crawling out of the car wreckage, and you look up, and it's like, hey, that's the movie I'm working on, and there's
like,
the devil's
666.
number. So, I have some points here, some bullet points, and one of them just says, a tiger handler died. I don't know how. I couldn't find how. I assume he got eaten by the tiger, but at the same time, it just says he died, so he could have just, like, had the flu. Gregory Peck's son shot himself.
No.
During the filming. And almost last but not least, a plane that was going to be used for the film was rescheduled to be used for commercial flight and crashed and killed everybody. So he just flipped that fucking page. And finally, a stuntman who worked on The Omen was hospitalized himself while working on another film called A Bridge Too Far. He was a professionally trained stuntman, and people thought that he was doing this as a stunt, but no, he just threw himself off a fucking building.
Just for fun?
Just for funsies.
It's fun time.
So that
Huh.
is cursed film sets and
That's-
cursed movies and The Omen, the most unluckiest film
Right?
on the fucking planet.
Jesus. Alright.
Wow.
Drop that shit right there.
Mic drop.
Nice.
Right, you're
Nice. Okay.
Okay, come
I'm-
at ya.
I'm sure that you guys have probably heard of this. I haven't. Cotard delusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had never heard of it before, and then it's also called like Walking Dead something.
Walking corpse or something
Yeah,
like
Walking corpse delusion or something like that. So it's a rare mental illness in which the affected persons think that they're already dead, do not exist, are putrefying, or have lost their blood or internal organs.
That would be
that. Richard
Terrifying.
Chase suffered from some form of
Yeah.
cocards. Yeah.
That's really
that would be a terrifying disorder to have.
yeah, that's so
Can you imagine just waking up and being like, I am rotting from the inside?
completely bizarre. Because like, do they
Yeah.
think that, or do they like see it
yeah.
that they're
I don't know.
disintegrating right in front of them?
Oh, and for those of you who don't know, Richard Chase was the vampire of Sacramento.
Who
Google
was-
him.
Horror.
Just Google him. Okay, continue.
They did a study on 100 patients with Cotard delusion, and 69% of them believed that they did not exist, while paradoxically, 55% of them thought that they were immortal. So, like, since they thought that they were dead, they cannot die,
Die.
and therefore they will continue to live,
Huh.
if that makes sense.
Ooh.
So, in the case of Mademoiselle X,
Ooh.
it describes a woman who
Want that to be
completely
my
denied
stage name.
the existence of parts of her body and her need to eat, so she just died of starvation. And
So
she's
this bitch was just like, I
Wait.
don't have any legs, I'm not gonna eat.
Wait, Mademoiselle X, like, who what? Who was Mademoiselle X?
Just a patient.
Yeah, so
Just a patient?
the case was called Mademoiselle
Oh,
X,
okay,
which I
just-
thought was a really cool.
Just because there's a painting called Mademoiselle X.
Oh.
I mean,
We'll look that up while
yeah,
the void
you
tells
continue.
us more.
You can continue.
So she kept saying that she was condemned to eternal damnation and therefore couldn't die a natural death. So she just
Starved herself.
starved herself, which is kind of sucks.
At the same time, are you laying there being like, I'm so hungry? Or are you laying there being like, I'm dead?
I don't know. This is what's so bizarre about it. And another study of a 14-year-old epileptic boy with Cotard syndrome expressed themes of death, chronic sadness, decreased physical activity, social withdrawal, and disturbed biological functions.
Sorry, it's
Yeah.
The painting's called Madame X.
Okay.
What does disturbed biological functions mean?
I don't know. I was actually gonna ask you guys because I was too lazy to Google
Wait,
it.
say that again.
Disturbed biological functions.
Does that mean he just, like, shat himself randomly? or because he was 14, would he just think of dead people and just get, like, a really awkward boner?
I hope
I
not.
don't know.
I mean, I'm Googling it right now, so we will find out.
Kaylee is our tech master,
Yeah.
holding a knife in one hand, cell phone in the other, Googling. Alright, what else? Tell us more. Tell me more, tell me more.
Well, I want to know what disturbed biological functions
Um,
are.
Biological functions. Okay, well, it's just telling me that biological rhythms are the natural cycle of changes in our body's chemicals or functions. The internal master clock that coordinates the other clocks in your body. There are 4 biological rhythms: circadian rhythms, and then so it's like
Your natural rhythms are all fucked
It did
up.
say
the
that-
functions that include regulating sleep, appetite, and body temperature. Disrupted biological rhythms can increase your risk for disorders like depression and bipolar disorder.
So maybe he had, like, insomnia and was really cold.
It did say that a lot of the patients sleep all day and then aren't just awake at night.
So the 4 biological rhythms are circadian rhythms, which is your 24 24-hour cycle. Your diurnal rhythms, which is that sync with day and night. Your ultradianan rhythms is your biological rhythms with a shorter period and higher frequency than circadian rhythms. And then your infradian rhythms is a biological rhythms that last more than 24 hours, such as a menstrual cycle. So it's these clocks regulate functions that include sleep schedule, appetite, body temperature, hormone levels, alertness, daily performance, blood pressure, reaction time.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was just all kinds of fucked up on the
Yeah,
inside.
the poor kid.
Yeah.
He suffered episodes that would last 3 weeks to 3 months,
God.
in which he said that everything and everyone was dead, including trees, and described himself as a dead body and warned that the entire world would be destroyed within hours.
Oh God.
So, like,
At
he's
14?
Yeah, so
Oh.
he's seeing everything
What?
as dead.
What
That'd
year
be
was the study
terrifying.
done?
I don't know. I
That'd
didn't.
be terrifying.
Can you imagine
At
if this
14 years old, just being like everything.
And he was probably in an asylum too, so everybody else, all of the
Yeah.
other people with mental illness were probably freaking out because there was this 14-year-old boy being like, I'm a corpse, and
Yeah.
everybody else is dead too.
The trees are dead. But then I was also
I'm sorry.
thinking with my little conspiracy mind that what if
Ooh.
he was like sent to like a parallel universe where everything is dead, and
I-
he's
I love parallel.
Herbert Mullins.
he's in like some sort of like rift
Yeah,
where he's like
I love
seeing
parallel universe conspiracy theories.
parallel universes, man. But
so,
Just getting
so maybe his
psyched up.
so maybe his universe was destroyed and he got like sent to ours and he's like,
everything
Oh my god,
gone.
you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the movie The Void. It recently came out and it's about parallel universes. It's a body horror. It's very...
what is body horror?
Have you ever seen The Fly by David
Yeah,
Cronenberg?
okay, never mind.
That's what body horror is. The Void is basically like a newer David Cronenberg kind of thing.
Hell yeah.
Really good, really fucking disturbing, but it involves parallel universes, and it just immediately reminds me of this.
Cotard delusion is linked to bipolar disorder, depression, and or schizophrenia,
Yeah.
which is kind of, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And Cotard delusion and Capgras? As I first read it, I thought it was Capgras, but I was like, that can't be right. So I was like, Capgras?
Oh, Capgras. But yeah, I know what that one is. That one is also very disturbing.
Cotard delusion and Capgras delusion, people see other people and think that they have been replaced by imposters. So these two are believed to be linked. So it's caused by a neural misfiring in the brain, which makes the person think the face that they are seeing is not the face of the person in which it belongs to. And if they personally know the person, they see that person as an imposter. And if the patient sees their own face, they might have no association between their face and their own sense of self, which results in the patient believing they do not exist.
It is Capgras.
Okay,
Yeah.
So isn't that weird? Like,
That is.
You go and look in a mirror and you're like, who is that?
Yeah.
That's like,
So those kind of go hand in hand, those two.
kind of, that's what they're thinking, is that they kind of go together because
That's awful.
by not being able to recognize faces, you don't therefore
Yeah.
recognize your face, therefore you do not exist.
God, that's a terrible thing to go through.
Yeah. So I was just like, I've never heard of this. But I was like,
Right?
I bet you Cedar and Kaylee have heard of this.
Well, I heard about it in like Psych 11, but I decided to do
I
my
don't-
project on Pica instead.
I know. So I was like, Kaylee's of course gonna know about this.
Yeah.
She knows about all
You
the
suffer
weird stuff.
from this disease,
No, I
Kaylee.
don't.
Kaylee's like, I'm a dead body.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I just forgot to put concealer on today.
And there were a couple of...
I'm sorry, that was a low blow.
No, it's fine. No,
Aw.
sometimes I look into the mirror and I'm like, who dat? Who dat? Who dat? I'm dead.
there were a lot of case studies, but I was too busy to read through them.
Yeah,
all.
no,
But
that's fine.
there was one where this guy got it because he got into a really bad motorcycle accident and it damaged part of his
Frontal lobe?
frontal lobe.
Send him
probably.
back.
Send him back. Do
Well,
not want. No, that makes sense for frontal lobe because it's your judgment. Blah, blah, blah.
And that's how he got the Cotard delusion by brain damage. But most of it is
Awful.
linked to any kind of psychosis.
Psychosis, yeah.
So
So sum up Cotards in one sentence.
You think you're dead?
You dead, boy.
You're dead. Boy, you're dead.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, God.
I'm dead.
Oh, God.
just death.
Just death.
Yeah.
It's like the more you know shit comes up, but it's like the more you're dead.
Yep. All right. So that's mine. Real dark.
Whatever.
Thank you.
It happens.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
A crocodile escaped out of a duffel bag on board a flight in the Congo, causing everybody to go to the front of the plane, which caused the plane to crash, killing 20 with one survivor.
Oh my god.
Who brought that crocodile
I wonder.
on the plane?
I wonder if the guy who survived was the guy who brought the crocodile, and he was like, "No, guys, he's actually really cool."
His name is Leslie.
Oh my god.
Okay, you ready for mine?
Yeah.
Mine's actually kind of funny.
I love funny
It's
ones.
a bit of dark humor. I googled the weirdest way people have died. And so
There's some super dark shit though.
okay, I went all the way back to like the earliest stuff I have is from circa 475 BC.
Bring it.
Are you ready? I went through and I scrolled through the best ones, so it's headed to
So the best of the best of
the
the
best
weird
of the
ways.
best of the best. Some of them are like, what the hell? Some of them are like, that is terrifying. Okay, so
All
let's
right.
start from the very, very beginning. So in 475 BC, Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, in one account given by Diogenes, I'm gonna say probably Dinogenes, that's how they pronounce things,
Sounds
was
like-
said to have been devoured by dogs after smearing himself with cow manure in an attempt to cure his dropsy.
No! Wait, what's dropsy in humans?
I do not know.
Because I only know what it is in fish, where
What
the
is it?
fish scales lift up and they end up looking like little pine cones.
Here, Google it for me.
I bet you he had like
I don't know, dropsies?
what's it called? Where you get really dry skin that like
Ooh,
cracks and
yeah,
bleeds. I
maybe.
bet you he had
I don't know,
that.
but he covered himself in cow manure, and then the dogs were like, nom nom nom. Okay.
Ooh, gotta love that cow shit.
In 455 BC, Caius, the Athenian author of tragedies, this is according to Valerius Maximus, this Caius was killed by a tortoise, dropped by an eagle that had mistaken his bald head for a rock, suitable for shattering the shell of the reptile.
So literally a giant bird picked him up and dropped him on
No.
another...
So, no, a giant bird picked up a tortoise, dropped it on this guy's head because the eagle was like, oh, this is a rock to kill this turtle so I can eat.
You know people are like, coconuts kill more people than sharks?
Yeah.
Turtles.
So this-
Fucking turtles
This
falling from
dude
the
was
sky.
killed by a falling tortoise.
Oh no!
Okay.
Oh, that poor tortoise!
Right, the tortoise was probably fine. It was just like...
Tortoises are heavy too, so
Yeah.
it must have been like a small tortoise.
Okay, so in 1131, the Crown Prince Philip of France died while riding through Paris when his horse tripped over a black pig running out of a dung heap.
So, did he get thrown, or did the horse flip over and crush him?
It just said when his horse tripped over a black pig running out of a dung heap.
Can you imagine this like French dandy fop be like, oh, I'm out for a ride, and they're just like, and then the pig's like,
Yeah. Okay.
oh my
So
God.
next, in 1567, the Burgomaster of Brandenau, which was then Bavaria, now Austria, died when he broke his neck by tripping over his own beard. The beard, which was 4.5 feet long at the time, was usually kept rolled up in a leather pouch. I'm telling you. Okay, next.
We need to linger on this.
So
Oh my
Hans Steininger, so died tripping over his own beard.
What a
What
way
a
to
man.
go!
Man, this one might be my favorite. In 1854, William Snyder, a 13-year-old, died when a circus clown swung him around by his heels.
Did it just kind of like scramble his brain? Like,
and then just silence.
Okay, and now we're getting in, like, so this is 19th century. There wasn't a lot in, the 18th century, there wasn't really
It's because nobody wrote anything down.
Yeah. So, some of these kind of skip back and forth. I don't know why. But anyway. So in 1993, Gary Hoy, a 38-year-old lawyer in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, fell to his death on the 9th of July after he threw himself against a window on the 24th floor of the Toronto Dominion Centre in an attempt to prove to a group of visitors that the glass was unbreakable.
no.
A demonstration he had done many times before. The glass did not break, but popped out of the window frame, and Hoy fell to his death.
Oh!
Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah.
Can
That would be terrifying. That is a
you
terrifying way
imagine
to
being
die.
the people watching it though and just being like,
Could you imagine being the people on the ground? Just like, what is that? It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a human being.
Okay.
just
Yeah.
smashed the glass and then... Oh, because
it popped out. It just went...
Yeah, but by the time it hit the ground, wouldn't it have shattered? Then you'd have, like...
Yeah.
With all glass...
Would you just have...
with glass shards.
Okay. You'll enjoy this one.
Okay.
Oh, God.
1982, David Grunman was killed near Lake Pleasant, Arizona, USA, while shooting at a cacti with his shotgun. After he fired several shots at the 26-foot-tall Saguaro cactus, that's how you pronounce it, right?
I have no idea.
Saguaro cactus. From extremely close range, a 4-foot limb of the cactus detached and fell on him, crushing him.
Mother Nature strikes back.
Right?
Oh!
Okay, in 1974, Basil Brown, a 48-year-old health food advocate from Croydon, England, drank himself to death by consuming 10 gallons of carrot juice in 10 days, causing him to overdose on vitamin A and suffer severe liver damage.
Did he turn yellow or orange or whatever happens when you eat too many carrots? My mom used to tell me that when I was little.
Okay, this is a good one. This is actually kind of a long one. From 1951, Mary Hardy Reeser, 67, was found virtually cremated in her otherwise relatively unharmed apartment in St. Petersburg, Florida. According to local funeral directors and biological anthropologist Wilton M. Krogman, which is a great last name, such a thorough burning would require 3 to 4 hours of temperatures between 2,500 Fahrenheit and 3,000 Fahrenheit. So that's about 1,370 Celsius and 1,650
So she
Celsius.
combusted.
This is a case of spontaneous
Yeah.
human combustion, which I find extremely fascinating.
Right? Okay, what was left of Reeser were a left foot in an undamaged black satin slipper, a shrunken portion of her skull, and part of her spine.
They say that hands and feet are the most likely to survive
Yeah.
when you combust.
Which is so weird, because if it can, like, burn through any other flesh and bone, why don't
But
the feet?
I think it's because they think it originates from your torso,
Yeah.
so as the heat moves out, it's the least touched parts.
So the FBI report at the time stated she had apparently fallen asleep in a chair while smoking a cigarette, which subsequently set fire to her acetate nightgown and housecoat. And acetate is just plastic, just pure plastic. The chair had been burned in its entirety as well, despite having been treated with fire retardant. Many were unsatisfied by the FBI report, and Krogman, who had previously investigated more than 30 fire deaths, said, "I cannot conceive of such complete cremation without more burning of the apartment." About the reportedly shrunken skull, he said that the opposite has always been true. The skulls have exploded into hundreds of pieces or been abnormally swollen. Hers shrunk.
Aliens.
Other anomalies were a pile of
Fucking
newspapers stacked right next to the chair that had remained intact,
What?
and the fact that only one other person in the apartment complex had smelled anything. And the case was still open as of 2017.
Okay. Couple of theories.
Yeah.
Number one.
Aliens and
Fuck-
laser beams.
Fucking
Yeah.
aliens. Aliens shot her with a laser beam and then they're like, "Come on, Clacktar, let's watch this woman burn!"
Clacktar? Yeah. Okay, I'm not done. There's still more.
Oh dear.
So in 1919, the Great Molasses Flood,
Hell
also
yeah.
known as the Boston Molasses Disaster, or the Great Boston
The
Molasses
slowest death ever.
Guys,
occurred in the North
Guys.
End neighborhood of Boston, Massachusetts, when a large molasses storage tank burst and a wave of molasses rushed through the streets at an estimate of 35 miles per hour or 56 kilometers an hour, killing 21 people and injuring an additional 150.
How can something
Can I
so
just
thick
say-
go so fast?
can I just say, my drag name will be Molassa Disaster.
Yeah. The event has entered local folklore, and for decades afterwards, residents claim that on hot summer days, the area still smelled of molasses.
So you just drowned in sticky,
I mean,
heavy...
I like molasses, but death by molasses has got to be
Can you
one of
imagine-
the worst deaths.
What, drowning in it would take forever, because it would just, like, slowly... And then it would
You'd
be, like,
suffocate
thick
Yeah.
and
before it
heavy.
actually got to your lungs.
I know. Whew! Also, it's sticky.
It would be, like... Now we're hungry.
Alright.
Alright.
Alright. So in 2014, Peng Fan, a chef in Foshan, China, was bitten by a cobra's severed head, which he had cut off 20 minutes earlier. Fan
Snakes are magical.
had set... That's why I love them. Fan had set the head aside while using the body to prepare a soup. According to investigating police, the case was highly unusual. No shit. The chef might have had a severe reaction to the bite.
So was he just like, oh, I have a
I
snakehead,
don't know.
look at it bite me,
No, it's
and then
I'm
he like,
I'm
He
imagining.
was bitten by a cobra's severed head, which he had cut off 20 minutes
Can you imagine though,
earlier.
like, maybe he was like a real asshole and his sous chef walked up to him with the head and was like, "You're a fucking dick," and then put the head on him and made it like
I
bite
don't
him?
know.
Like,
because it still would have venom.
Yeah.
it might be like one of those things how chickens run around
Yeah,
after you
that's
cut
what
their
I'm
heads off.
thinking.
It might have like just contracted and been
Contracted,
close
yeah.
enough to him.
Okay, this one is actually really gross.
Which one is it?
Ooh, in 2013, 41-year-old Hugo Avalos Channon died after falling into an industrial meat blender
No.
at a meat processing plant in Clackamas County, Oregon. Whew, Avalos Channon worked for a contractor, DCS Sanitation Management, that was hired by interstate distributors to do work at its plant. His wife, children, and parents sued both DCS Sanitation Management and interstate meat distributors for a total of over $5 million.
So he fell in a meat grinder. Did they
In-
know he fell?
And an industrial meat blender.
So did that mean they have to like get rid of this entire stack of meat that he got blended into, or did they just like ship it out with human meat in
I'm
it?
hoping that they
But-
didn't.
Because they'd lose money, because I'm assuming it all falls into one giant bin. Companies don't
Yeah.
want to lose the money. I feel like
But
they would have just given
Also,
human burgers.
imagine being the person who has to pick through and pick him out for the funeral. Like, would you just bury
I
the
don't-
giant
I don't
vat of meat?
I think they would know.
They would have had like a closed casket, probably like
No,
not even.
Yeah,
but like
of course a closed casket, but you still want to separate. Like, we don't know if this is dad or if this is pig, but like,
Yeah. Oh, that's just awful.
oh,
right?
but poor
I'm
man.
trying to.
I hope
Google,
you're
like,
only alive for like 0.2 seconds
I
before your
really
head
hope-
gets
I really hope he
smushed.
fell on
yeah, because if you fell on feet first, oh
Have you guys seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then, when the kid's in the freaking and he's got him by the legs.
He just threw. Are you okay? Yeah.
Yeah, he's holding the kid's legs out
Yeah.
of the freaking what's it
Wood
called?
chipper?
The wood chipper. And he goes, "Are you okay?" Covered in blood.
Oh no! I don't want to see it. Your face was.
I accidentally just saw a picture of somebody who fell into a meat grinder.
Let me see.
I both want to see it, but not see it at the same time.
Fondling a meat grinder?
Oh god!
Oh god!
I want to see.
Oh god! Oh god!
Golden's face.
That's what an industrial meat grinder.
Okay.
Whoa!
So
Alright.
he came out in strings. Okay,
Okay.
Can move on.
Yeah,
move on.
okay, so the
Continue.
next one, this one is, I mean, it's still sad because somebody died, but it's one of those weird, bizarre ones. So, again, in 2013, 45-year-old Joao Maria de Souza was crushed by a cow in Caratinga, I think, Brazil. The cow, having climbed onto the roof from an adjacent hillside, his wife, who was lying in bed next to him, and the cow were both unharmed. The death was labeled as bizarre.
Can you imagine just rolling over and be like, "Oh, baby,
Baby."
your beard," and then it's just like,
Yeah, okay, this is also a lot of weird shit happened in 2013. Takuya Nagaya, 23 from Japan, started to slither on the floor and claimed he had become a snake. You.
Yeah, you.
His mother took this to mean that he had been possessed by a snake and called for her husband, 53-year-old Katsumi Nagaya. Katsumi spent the next 2 days headbutting and biting his son to drive out the snake that had possessed him, but instead caused his death. So that whole
fucking headbutt.
that whole situation is just
Can you
strange.
imagine just having to headbutt somebody enough to kill them? You would have the worst cluster headache ever.
Okay, again, in 2013, an unnamed Belarusian fisherman, 60, was killed by a beaver while attempting to grab the animal to have his picture taken with it. The beaver bit the man, severing a large artery in his leg.
Zombievers.
I'm on Team Beaver with
Right.
this one.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just somebody just trying to pick you up and be like, "Let's take a photo"?
Yeah. Okay, 2012, Edward Archbold, 32, of West Palm Beach, Florida, USA. Of course, this happened in Florida. Died after winning. Okay, but he died a winner. Cockroach eating contest.
Oh, his mouth got numb.
The cause of death was determined to be accidental choking due to arthropod body parts.
When you eat cockroach, was he eating them alive?
Probably.
If you're eating cockroaches alive, they have a neurotoxin that like makes your mouth numb, and
So
then
if
you can't feel the cockroaches in your mouth, so
So
therefore
yeah,
he chokes on
but
them.
at least he died a winner.
All I do is
Win,
win, no matter what.
So, again in 2012, Jeffrey Haywood, 65, of Newport, South Wales, pretended to be blind for pity. One day, he fell into a ditch and died. He apparently did not see it. The coroner working on this case said it was the most extraordinary case he had seen in 30 years.
So he believed he was blind to
He
the point...
pretended to be blind for pity, fell into a ditch because he didn't see it. But he could see.
So, do you think he fell into the ditch being like, people will think that the blind man fell in the ditch and they'll feel bad for me?
No.
No, I think he just fell in because karma.
Yeah. Okay, in 2008, Judy K. Zagorski.
Is she from
Zagorski.
Minnesota?
Oh, Zagorski. No, she's from Michigan. A 57-year-old from Pigeon, Michigan. She was boating off the Florida Keys. Was involved in what was described as a freakish accident when a 75-pound spotted eagle ray leapt out of the water and struck her in the face. The collision knocked Zagorski over, causing her to strike her head on the deck, where she died of blunt force craniocerebral trauma, and the ray also died.
Aw, that poor
I
Ray.
feel more bad for the Ray than I feel for Gorski.
Right? I'm just about done. I've got 3 left. This one is also this one is right up there with the meat grinder one, but in 2008, David Fayel, 50, was the last resident in a block of flats due to be demolished in Bishopstoke near Southampton, Hampshire, England. That's a lot of... decapitated himself with a chainsaw to highlight the injustice of being forced to move out.
Oh dear.
I mean, go big or go home, buddy, but like,
There's got to be some kind of mental illness in there, being
Yeah.
like, I'd rather die than leave my shitty apartment.
Yeah, I don't know, but I guess...
So...
I do not
I
know.
bet you he haunts that place. I bet
Probably.
you nobody has moved into that apartment since.
Okay, so in 2001, Peter Robinson, a New Zealander, 28, from Reefton, Bullard District, West Coast, South Island.
That was a lot.
Yeah. Died after he fell on ice and drowned in his cat's water bowl.
Was he old?
No, he's 28. The death...
How deep was your cat's water dish?
Well, if he died and fell on ice, he might have hit his head, passed out, and then he was face first in the cat's water bowl, and then just inhaled water and died.
Okay.
The death was depicted on an episode of the series 1,000 Ways to Die.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, last one, and you probably know of this. You might also know of this one. 2001, Bernard Brandens, Berlin engineer, was willingly slaughtered so that he could be butchered and eaten by aspiring cannibal Armin Maywes. Brandon was responded to an internet advertisement which Maywes had placed for this purpose.
I came across
Yeah.
this literally yesterday while
Yeah.
I was looking for something.
And the worst part was the guy cut off the dude's dick and then tried to feed it to him, but he couldn't chew it because it was too tough and he had lost too much blood and was too weak.
Yep.
And he ate him over the course of like a couple weeks or couple days. Just like kept him shoved in the freezer.
Mhm.
Just like, oh, I'm gonna have a thigh today.
Yeah.
I'll have a bicep the next day.
So those are mine. I had a ridiculous fun time. My favorite one has to be William Snyder, who died when a circus clown swung him around by his heels. I'm sorry, that is probably my favorite.
I feel like the circus clown maybe slipped and just threw him into something.
Maybe.
Whoops!
Maybe. I don't know. I had a lot of fun.
Well, that was, good job, kids. Everybody gets an A on this week's book report.
Yeah.
On a lighter note,
On a lighter note.
the good news is that you can be immortal.
Oh, cool.
The bad news is you have to become a floating blob of jelly to do so. Scientists have discovered a jellyfish which can theoretically live forever.
Yeah.
They return into like, the
Teratopsis
polyp state.
dorni is now officially known as the only immortal creature.
Cool. Nice. Alright, kids. Who wins this week?
I vote Kaylee.
I'd say Kaylee's is pretty
Nice.
good.
I think that maybe at a later date for a mini-sode, we should just all pick a really weird death.
And then explore it deeper.
And explore
Yeah.
it deeper. Alright.
Alright. Bye!
Smell you later.
Smell you later, nerd.
Bye.